Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, and things adjacent. And I'm going to start off with this story from Greenland. It's from The Guardian. Life on Thin Ice. I'm not going to read this whole thing, just kind of give an overview. Mental health at the heart of the climate crisis. Greenland's melting has been adopted by the world as its own problem, but for the islanders grieving their dissolving world, the crisis is personal and dangerous. A thin blanket of fog curls over the block before it disappears back out to sea. Inhale the freezing breaths of a dormant leviathan slumbering somewhere out in the depths. It's 1 a.m., and judging by the flickering glow of televisions in the windows of the bleak two-story rows facing us, it's clear that few of the local residents are asleep. Shielded only by flimsy blinds, it's impossible to escape the midnight sun in the northern Greenlandic town of Ilulissat. The light here, some 180 miles north of the Arctic Circle, seeks out every man-made chink and weakness, the cracks and folds of window frames, even the keyholes of doors. Only an hour ago, a gang of local children called in by impatient mothers finally stopped bouncing on a communal trampoline. Away from the global headlines about ice cap melt 80 kilometers inland from here, this is the front line of climate change. In Greenland's working class housing blocks, single moms, fishermen, hotel cleaners, pensioners, and hunters have their own fears for the future. Changing climate and the encroachment of the modern age has dramatically impacted the Inuit who live here in Ilulissat and in other towns across the Arctic. The next generation of Greenlanders face the biggest challenge in the island's arduous history. Released on Monday, a survey by the University of Copenhagen, the Cracks Fond Institute for Urban Economic Research and the University of Greenland reveals the climate crisis is having an untold psychological effect. In what is broadly accepted as the first nationwide study on local reaction, the Greenlandic Perspective Survey reveals that 92% of residents think that climate change is happening. Just 1% of residents do not. A further 76% of local... The 1%. No! A further 76% of local people also claim to have personally experienced the effects. A damning figure. The survey, covering an area of almost 3 times the size of France and carried out by researchers from the Universities of Greenland and Copenhagen, also destroyed a popular myth that Greenlanders overwhelmingly believe they will benefit from a thaw. Instead, the majority believe it will harm its people, plants, and animals. The survey teams traveled by plane, boat, and helicopter to reach some of the most hostile and remote locations in the Arctic over the past few months to map the increasing social anxiety and trauma in Greenland connected to the climate crisis. Feels strange to be saying this, but when it comes to Greenland, we actually understand the ice more than we understand the people, says Kelton Miner, lead author of the survey. It's another scientist I've never heard of. Must have mentioned the names of at least 30 or 40 scientists just in the last week alone. I've never heard of them. Tony Heller. More than half of all Greenland residents interviewed report dramatic glacier retreat near their settlements. Most Greenlanders still eat wild foods they hunt, fish, or gather, and 57% think hunting practices will be harmed. Will be. Probably already are. 79% of residents think local sea ice has become more dangerous to travel on. So this is a part about sled dogs. I guess that some of the people that keep sled dogs have to kill their dogs. In Ilulissat, Klaus Rasmussen is stirring a foul brew of oily blood and fish, seal stew. The sled dog hunter says, strung out in a row, his family carried buckets of murky soup to feed the dogs, a nightly ritual for Rasmussen and his 5 daughters. Over the past 2 decades, Greenland's sled dog population has halved to around 15,000, with the numbers still falling. Uh, so he talks about shooting one, a dog given the name My Son, in a local language. The teenagers burst into tears. Shocking explosion of grief in a culture where emotion is rarely shown. In Inuit culture, strength, silence, and self-sufficiency are admired traits. I had a blood clot last year and couldn't hunt, said Rasmussen. Here in Ilulissat, we have the ice fjord, and for now it's strong enough to hold us, but I was unable to walk for 9 months. The trouble was nobody wanted my dogs, so I had to kill 8 of 13. I killed my favorites to spare them possible cruelty. That was my decision. Excuse me. The others were given away to people I knew. This is a very in-depth article, very, very long. So that's all I'm going to read of this. Obviously, things are changing drastically. And I'm going to, lastly, in this article, in this video, I'm going to read this from Paul Craig Roberts, An Open Invitation to Tyranny. It's from August 7th. The FBI has published a document that concludes that conspiracy theories can motivate believers to commit crimes. Considering the growing acceptance of preemptive arrest, that is, arresting someone before they can commit a crime that they are suspected of planning to commit, challenging official explanations such as those offered for the assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Martin Luther King, or the official explanation of 9/11, can now result in monitoring by authorities with a view to finding a reason for preemptive arrest. Uh-oh. It's a lot of people, probably. I'm sure. I'm one of those people, probably. President George W. Bush and Obama created the police state precedents of suspension of habeas corpus. So Bush and Obama did this. They just handed... So this is why I kind of believe that Trump is totally intentional. It wasn't an act. Oh, Trump got elected. Whoa, how could this happen? Bullshit. Totally on purpose, because Bush and Obama created all these presidential powers, and then Trump came to office, neo-fascist that he is. Oh, thank you guys. I'll take these. Anyways, assassination of citizens on suspicion alone without due process. If Americans can be preemptively detained indefinitely and preemptively assassinated, Americans can expect to be preemptively imprisoned for crimes they did not commit. As Lawrence Stratton and I explained in our book, The Tyranny of Good Intentions, the historic achievement of forging law into a shield of the people is being reversed in our time as law is being reforged into a weapon in the hands of the government. The FBI document says that conspiracy theories are usually at odds with the official or prevailing explanation of events. Note the use of official or prevailing. Official explanations are explanations provided by governments. Prevailing explanations are the explanations that the media repeats. Examples of official and prevailing explanations are Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction, Assad's use of chemical weapons that's been shown to be a false flag, that was false, Iranian nukes, Russian invasions of Ukraine, and the official explanation by the U.S. government for the destruction of Libya. If a person doubts official explanations such as these, that person is a conspiracy theorist. Uh-oh. Official and prevailing explanations do not have to be consistent with facts. That's when the official story is the actual conspiracy theory. It is enough that they are official and prevailing. Whether or not they are true is irrelevant. Therefore, a person who stands up for the truth can be labeled a conspiracy theorist, monitored, and perhaps preemptively arrested. Consider 9/11. Ooh, consider 9/11. No forensic investigation of 9/11 was ever officially conducted. Instead, the destruction of the buildings was blamed on Osama bin Laden, and scenarios and simulations were created by computer program to support the allegation not to find the truth. Architects, engineers, scientists, pilots, and first responders on site cannot, so we're talking about the people that were there, cannot reconcile the official prevailing explanation with the facts. The scientific and testimonial evidence that they have produced is dismissed as conspiracy theory. It is those experts who stand on the evidence who are defined as conspiracy theorists, not those who created the story of Osama bin Laden's 9/11 conspiracy. Consider Russiagate. Uh-oh. Here we have an alleged conspiracy between Trump and Russia that was the official prevailing explanation. Yet, to believe in the Russiagate conspiracy did not make one a conspiracy theorist, as this conspiracy was the official prevailing explanation. But to doubt the Russiagate conspiracy did make one a conspiracy theorist. What the FBI report does, intentionally or unintentionally, is to define a conspiracist as a person who doubts the official explanations. And there you go. In other words, it is a way of preventing any accountability of the government. Whatever the government says, no matter how obvious a lie, will have to be accepted or as fact, or we will be put on a list to be monitored for a preemptive arrest. Or how about, you get on a no-fly list all of a sudden. That could screw up a lot of people's lives. In effect, the FBI's document reduces the First Amendment, that is free speech, to the right to repeat official and prevailing explanations. Ding, ding, ding. Any other speech is a conspiratorial belief that can lead to the commission of a crime. Every American should be greatly concerned that the government in Washington does not see this FBI document as an open invitation to tyranny, repudiate it, and demand its recall. And also, if you are a person who constantly lamb-based conspiracy theorists, or discounts, or says that all conspiracy theorists are lunatics and they all watch Alex Jones and all these people should shut up and go away and be silenced and they should be censored, you are part of the problem. You are absolutely part of the problem. You are in league. You are a sheep in league with the government, helping to oppress its own people. Some conspiracies are not great. And some people do weird things behind conspiracies, but that doesn't mean that people should not be able to talk about these things. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, be able to discuss them, look at evidence, think about them, This is one stop from the thought police. Oh, you're thinking those thoughts over there. I'm going to turn you in. I'm going to call you conspiracy theorist and nobody's going to listen to you anymore. So think again when calling people things like conspiratards or, conspiracy nuts or lunatics. Think twice before doing that. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time, peace.